In this video, we will give basic instruction on changing a Steiner mower deck belt. Brought to you by Henry H. Hartman, Steiner Sales and Service in Hanover, PA. This will apply to MD series side discharge decks and the MX460 rear discharge deck. The deck belt for a 48-inch deck is an 81-A128. For a 60-inch deck, 81-A158, and for a 72-inch, 81-B180. We typically keep these belts and other common Steiner parts items in stock. If your deck still has original hardware, you will need tools for 3/8, 7/16, and 3/4 inch hex head bolts and nuts. It is best to have the deck removed from the tractor, then first remove the deck lid. If your old belt is still intact, pull on the idler arm and remove it from the pulleys, then remove the pin that holds the spring. Next, remove the C-shaped hitch arm stop from the right-hand side of the deck. You will then proceed to remove the main hitch arm bolts. For video purposes, we already have some of this hardware loose. Once those bolts are out, gently slide the hitch arms slightly to the rear that they're out of their mount. Next, you will loosen the 6 small bolts on the right-hand side rear of the deck. Do not completely remove these bolts and nuts. Once they are loose, you can spread apart the side braces and work the belt out around. Now the rest of the old belt should be easily removed. Underneath the deck lid, there should be a decal with the belt routing diagram. Study this before you're ready to install. Now you're ready to reinstall the new belt. Start by working it in below the 2 plates you loosened earlier and around the right-hand spindle pulley. Be sure to get the proper loop around the center spindle pulley and the fixed idler in the front. Now take the belt around the left-hand spindle pulley and you're ready to make the second and final loop in the belt for the jack shaft pulley and the idler tension pulley. Lay this loop down over the hitch arm mount. After observing that the belt is correctly routed, you can then reinstall the hitch arms and the 2 bolts that hold them in the mounts. During this entire process, you should be checking that all spindles, bearings, and idler pulleys spin freely and smoothly. Also keep an eye out for other types of damage or other loose hardware. It is very important to ensure that these 2 main bolts are very tight. Now you can retighten the 6 small bolts at the rear of the deck and then reinstall the C-shaped hitch arm stop in front of the flip-up latch. Ensure that all the hardware you have loosened or removed is properly tight before you finish. Once you double check that the belt will sit properly on all the pulleys, you can then reinstall the pin that anchors the idler tension spring and then install the belt over the jack shaft and idler pulley. If you struggle pulling the handle to stretch the spring, an adjustable wrench on the handle can give you extra leverage. There are several key items we'd like to point out for you to check to ensure proper belt life. First is the idler pivot bolt, which has 4 optional holes. When we installed this belt, the idler bolt was directly over top of the idler pivot bolt, which is incorrect and will cause belt slippage. We had to move the pivot bolt 1 hole to the left, which allows the arm to lean towards the jack shaft. This is important to have it leaning this direction no matter how tight you have the spring pulled. The pivot bolt hardware should be 9/16 hex. Check that the tapered hubs on your spindle pulleys are nearly flush with the top of the shaft. If these are too high or too low, it can cause a variety of problems. If you're unsure on how to adjust these, please call us or have a qualified mechanic assist you. Mostly on 72-inch decks, be sure the bolt for the anchor chain and spring does not extend beyond flush through the nut and rub the belt. If everything else appears correct, you're ready to reinstall the cover, hitch up the mower, and give it a test run. Here again is a recap of the deck models and belt numbers. Henry H. Hartman is a family-owned dealership in Hanover, PA. Since 1984, we've proudly specialized in the sales and service of Steiner turf equipment. Please check us out on Facebook and Instagram, as well as other videos on our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.